Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to get started now and kind of inch our way into this evening. I expect a few more people, so I wanted to first give you welcome, happy August. I wanted to give you a sense of this evening, what we have on schedule. Renee Melton from the Irvine Unified School District Transition Program will be speaking first. And if you attended the author series where we had Adam Gottnick speak just a couple weeks ago, one of the things he talked about were adult transition programs as being of value. And so it's kind of perfect timing that Renee is here to discuss that. So that'll be pretty much the first part of our meeting. Then the second part of our meeting is about giving you an update on the Orange County Asperger Support Group Career Club. And this has been a project that I've been working on for the last year or longer. And we have some exciting news and some exciting speakers. So the second half of the meeting will be about that. We'll first have Jan Johnston-Tyler from EvoLibri speak and give you an update on her program. And then second, we'll have Hilary Kokenda and Rebecca Beam from Zavikon speak. So you'll understand that all as we work through this. If you're confused right now, hopefully in 2 hours you will no longer be confused. Really happy to introduce Renee. Renee and I have been working together on the transition initiative, and she has been such a good friend to the Orange County Asperger Support Group. It may be through a way that none of you know, but before the pandemic, we had started meeting in Irvine, and Renee was the one who let us use their facility to have several meetings. So she's been very considerate, and I'm really looking forward to all of you learning about her program. So hi, Renee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Let me share my screen and I'll give you a quick overview about me. I have been with the Irvine Unified School District, and let me know if you can't see that, Judy.
We're good.
Okay, good. I've been with the Irvine Unified School District since 1996. And I have been working in transition since July of 2001. And I did start with the Irvine Adult Transition Program when it started here in Irvine. So I'm very happy to still be a part of it and still be working in the area of transition. It is truly a passion of mine. And I'm so thankful to know the people I know, like Judy and other people with like minds working toward transition goals for everyone. So I'm with Irvine Unified School District. I work with Irvine Adult Transition, but I also work with high schools and middle schools on transition programming. So just to give you a quick overview, there's transition planning overview in general, and then there's transition planning specific to adult transition program here in Irvine. Almost all school districts have an adult transition program. This is very common for ages 18 to 22. I'll talk about the specifics for that in a minute. But the 5 areas I'm going to speak to tonight are the employment skills development, independent living skills, community-based instruction, travel training, and social skills and communication skills, which are basically called self-determination. Okay, so next is transition planning overall. Overall, it's to empower all individuals with any kind of disability with the skills they need to achieve their full potential so that they can live as an adult. That way they get the support and collaboration with their families, education, and their community. So it's everybody working together so that we can all be as successful as we can be as adults. With ways for parents to support transition planning, for your parents out there listening, encourage as much independence from your student as possible. Learn about disability-related needs and relevant support services around you. For example, this group right here is definitely a support service for you. Learning and practicing appropriate communication and collaboration. And of course, determining the need for financial support. So Social Security, CalOptima, whether or not Department of Rehabilitation and Regional Center need to be involved in that. So very important. Parents, you're a very important piece of a student's transition. Okay. Parent trainings we offer here in Irvine, and this may be different in other places. We do offer person-centered planning. We offer that benefit planning workshops for Social Security to see if students are interested in that or need help with that. We do adult service providers, and those are adult service providers are like working with Goodwill, Vocational Visions. Those are services that are after school. So they're after you've graduated from your school and from your adult transition program. And then conservatorship training. And that's important for our students to have that opportunity to, and parents to have that conservatorship training if they feel their student needs to be conserved. So just wanted to give you an overview of what kind of parent trainings happen here in Irvine. Now let's go on to specifically the adult transition program here in Irvine. It is a community-based program, which means most of the activities happen in the community, not in a classroom setting. It is designed specifically for students that have completed their 4 years of high school. Their ages typically are 18 to 22, however, some may be 17. They're not working toward a diploma typically. They do get instructional and work-related activities here in the adult transition program. And the students gain the confidence to make their own decisions, to take personal responsibility for their own actions, and to gain knowledge for their rights as individuals. So it's very, very important. Transition planning is very, very important to a student's path to becoming an adult. So let's start with employment skills. Employment skills developing your employment skills minimize your vocational limitations and enhance vocational strengths for all of us. So all of us that are developing our employment skills, it's helping us to become that much closer to getting paid employment. Now we have under employment skills, you could be exploring different types of jobs. You may be completing job applications with help from staff. You may be developing your resume. It may be practicing interviewing and learning about the different interviews that are out there. It could be role play for situations that come up at work, like what would you do if? It could be learning the importance of grooming and appropriate clothing and uniforms for your job. And it can be on the job training. And on the job training is teaching you different things like dressing appropriately, how to be well groomed, following directions, showing good work attitude, staying on task, producing acceptable quality of work, working as a team member, getting along with coworkers, job coach, supervisor, and problem solving. And there's a lot more skills you learn. On the job training is exactly what it sounds like. It's on the job. So our students meet at school in the morning, then they go off on public transportation. Some of them walk because their job sites are close enough to our school to walk to, and they actually do on the job training. And here's some pictures of some of the places we've done on the job training in years past. This is Sprouts, and we've bagged groceries, put out new merchandise, and collected cards. So just to give you an idea of what on the job training looks like. We've been at Hoag Hospital in Irvine in the cafeteria where we've cleaned the tables and restocked a lot of the items out on the tables, cream, sugar, coffee, things like that. We have been at REI, and REI is the sports clothing store and sporting goods store, and we have sorted all sorts of sporting goods there. We've priced merchandise. It's such a huge store. There's so much to do there. It really has a great opportunity for students to explore all sorts of different jobs there. We've been at, let's see, our next one's Armstrong Garden Centers. And obviously that's a place with plants, so there's a lot to do with cleaning up after the plants, watering the plants. But I wanted to give you guys some idea of what on-the-job training looks like. Here's, I skipped one, Heritage Park Library. And there we did a lot with obviously putting books back that customers returned. And here's Stone Creek Animal Hospital, where we did greet the animals when they came in for visits. And we also did some office work. There are many, many other places that will allow students to do on-the-job training, but I did want to give you an idea of some of the ones we've used here in Irvine. And Pretend City, which is one of our most popular ones because it's so fun, colorful, exciting, has a lot of families and students, little guys there, and our students really love to be the greeter there and or to kind of give tours and show people around. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what on-the-job training looks like and how exciting it can be for our students to learn on the job. Just really, really such a great experience. And we are so thankful to have these businesses a part of our programming and that they will partner with us and allow students to come to their site. The next subject is independent living skills that we work on. Now, independent living skills, they increase your self-reliance for all of us. Our instruction is provided in the community setting and typically using role play. If we are in the classroom, it's going to be using role play, like getting up and actually role playing different scenarios. Some of the independent living skills that we work on here in Irvine are personal hygiene, meal preparation and planning, and that may include going grocery shopping, using coupons, following a recipe. We work on money management skills and budgeting, working within a budget to shop for those groceries. We work on housekeeping skills, like making sure we know which cleaners to use for which areas of our house. We work on time management when we need to leave for a bus. A bus is coming, so how much time would it take us to walk there? Problem solving, any kind of problem. There's so many different problem solving things that come up. So we work a lot on problem solving. What would you do if? What would you do if you saw this happen? Or what would you do if you were in this situation? So that we can get better and better at those independent living skills. Social etiquette, what's appropriate, health and safety, managing your medications, and using a phone, I should say phone there, using a cell phone. And the appropriateness of that, when we should use it and how we should use it and what it should be used for. So that's our independent living section here in Irvine. And then we also do some community-based instruction, which kind of comes into play with our on-the-job training, because we do a lot of things out in the community. In this case, we have students out at Ruby's restaurant having probably some lunch. It's like delicious lunch. And we are allowing the students the opportunity to explore their community where they can apply the skills that they've learned and in a practical setting. So it doesn't help if we learn all these skills but never get to practice them. So we take our students out so that they can practice eating in a restaurant, going to the bank or grocery store. And then these activities could happen individually. It might be one-on-one with the staff, and it may also be in a group setting. So a small group going out like this one, for example. Okay. Our community-based instruction, again, can involve grocery shopping. It could be involve shopping for clothes, ordering at a restaurant, learning how to leave a tip, using a debit card or banking in general, writing checks even. I know that's not something we do as much anymore, but there are some times we need to write a check and learn how to do that. Safety in the community, that's a big one. Just knowing how to be safe out there, planning a trip to get to the community. And sometimes we go and visit apartment complexes because our students are really interested in independent living and wanting to be on their own. So they really enjoy going and visiting our apartments in the area, and we get to do tours and look at different apartments and how much apartments cost. So that's one of the areas we really focus on. And then another area that we focus on is travel training. Travel training, it's so important to develop these skills so that we can use public transportation safely and independently, because transportation is what gets us out there. It lets us participate in social activities. It lets us participate in post-secondary education or going to classes somewhere on a college campus. It helps us with job training to get to our job sites, and it helps us with any kind of recreational items. So travel training is so important to be able to navigate our community and get out there and get to these places so that we can be a participant in all the things we want to participate in. Whatever that is, we need to be able to get there, and travel training is the way to do it. So what are some items we do when we're travel training? What are some things we learn? Well, we look at the identification of buses. We look at landmarks. We look at how to cross the street safely. We look at We work on appropriate behavior on the bus, how to use a bus pass, how to purchase one of those as well, and stranger awareness, because we definitely want to be safe around strangers, and we're out there around strangers when we're travel training. So travel training includes all the things from start to finish of being out in the community traveling. Okay. Very exciting. And then our last area that we do a pretty big push for is our social communication skills. So social and communication skills assist our students with the ability to understand the way our peers communicate and interact, reciprocity. So this gives the students the ability to build interpersonal relationships, and those could be interpersonal relationships with their schoolmates. It could be relationships with their coworkers at work, their supervisor at work, if they're in an internship or on-the-job training, with their teachers, with neighbors in their neighborhood, the person they're doing the banking with, the person they're ordering food from. So social and communication skills are also a big area that we all need to work on, and that's something that the Irvine Adult Transition Program really focuses on. How do we do that? We look at the verbal and written. We practice using pictures. Some of our students use sign language to do that, which is great. We're so excited to be able to offer that as well. We work on using communication devices like iPads and different programs that we have on the iPads. We use visual schedules here in the Irvine Adult Transition Program, so our students have those visual schedules posted on where they're going when and what time. We use the cell phone, and we put a lot of alerts in the phones, and we use that for our social and communication skills. We teach students to let us know where they are when they're out in the community, what street corner they're at, what landmark they're at. And we teach expressing needs and wants and feelings, because it's so important that our students have an opportunity to express those things, so that we can gauge what they need from us, and especially from the school staff. And we also work on getting along with peers and staff, because we all need work on that, and working as a team and being out and about along with people in the community as well. So those are our areas, the 5 areas that I talked about that we really focus on. There's some other areas that we would focus on as well that kind of probably fall into one of these areas, but those are the areas for the overall adult transition program. And like I said, oops, where's my screen go? Let's do a new share. Like I said, let me pull that back up for you guys. I apologize for that. Pull that over here. We definitely want to make sure our students are getting what they need to be the best adults that they can be when they're out in the community and after they leave us. So once you leave us, we want to make sure you're ready to go, that you have the skills needed to be successful adults out there. So does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions about the adult transition program, or what you're wanting?
Why don't we go into gallery mode, and then we can see everybody. Here we go, and you can stop sharing there. Okay, so raise your hand if you have a question for Renee. Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes, Jimmy.
So, what if
testing.
Yeah. Anyway, what if you already had been through similar training? Like, I went to this one program called College Living Experience several years ago, and they already taught me most of these things.
So this program I'm talking about is when you leave high school and you go into an adult transition program at the school district. So this is typically for the ages between 18 to 22. And then you would go on to an adult service provider, and an adult service agency would work with you and continue to work on these things, because they're so important to keep working on. All of us need work in these areas all the time to be better and better at it, to be independent. So yes, are you still working with an agency, Jimmy, that's helping you with these things?
Well, I left College Living Experience a few years ago when I transferred to a 4-year university.
Okay, so you're going to post-secondary education now, working on something in school.
Yeah, and I think, Renee, Jimmy, was our first presenter. Our second presenter is going to be about Career Club. So that's probably more of interest for you in particular.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Renee,
question,
I had a couple questions. One, for people that are not in Irvine, are there other programs in other school districts that are similar?
Yes. The only school district I know in Orange County that does not have an adult transition program is Laguna Beach district, because they have such a small district that they don't have the numbers to even have a program. So typically the students that are looking for an adult transition program in Laguna Beach do attend either Capo or Saddleback's adult transition program, because those programs are well developed and they have the resources to be able to provide the services to them that Laguna Beach doesn't have.
And if somebody got a diploma, chose the diploma track, are they eligible to participate in the transition program?
Typically, no. In our district, these are, again, there's special situations occasionally, but this is for non-diploma track students that have not received a diploma and aren't looking to get a diploma. If they're looking to get a diploma, we have another program for students to attend at a school site to actually work on their diploma. This program is for non-diploma track students at this time. Now, what I will say is diploma track and non-diploma track is a big decision. There are pros and cons to if you're kind of on the bubble of that diploma track. You know, for financial aid, for example, very difficult to get federal financial aid if you get a certificate of completion versus a diploma. But there's other avenues you can explore for that. But yes, typically the adult transition programs are for those students that did not earn a diploma, and the law gives them the opportunity to stay and work on transition skills up until the age of 22.
Okay.
The day they turn 22. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Renee? Yeah, Ernest. Hold on, you're on mute, Ernest. You need to take yourself off mute. There you go. Try now.
Okay, there I am. No, I just wanted to ask Renee, does Melody Resendez work in your district?
I am not sure about that. I don't recognize the name, but I can check.
I thought it was Irvine, but she's a very close friend of mine, and I used to work with her in special ed at Garden Grove Unified.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. Well, I'll have to look her up.
I'm an
and see if
aide.
she's here. Yeah,
I'm
I'll
a
look her up and see
special
if she's
ed
around.
aide.
Thank you for that, Ernest. Thank you for the service you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Renee? Judy? You have your name is, yeah?
Yeah. First of all, hello. Well, Judy would be my mother. I'm the.
Oh, what's your name? What's your name? I'll change it to you.
David.
David, okay.
Hi, David.
Hello. Yeah. So I just want to let you guys know that, like, on my end, anyways, it's a little choppy and lagging. So I do apologize if I have to ask you multiple times sometimes.
No worries.
Okay. Anyway, so do you guys like share the little slideshow you just showed us?
Yes, I put a link to it. I'll put a link again, and we are recording today's session. So
Okay.
when I finish editing the recording, I will send the recording and a link and the contact information in an email.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Okay. Anything else, David?
So yeah, I don't live in Irvine, and I think you guys mentioned like similar programs around in Orange County, but I didn't get the part because, you know, again, it was a little choppy and laggy. So would you please repeat that again?
Well, David, where do you live? What
Orange
city do
County,
you?
for
Fullerton.
Yes, so David, there is a program with the Fullerton School District. All the programs will say adult transition, but they won't say Irvine, obviously, but adult transition. So if you're between the ages of 18 to 22, and you did not earn a diploma, and you're looking for transition skills, you want to look for the adult transition program in Fullerton School District. And
right.
if you need help with that, you let me know and reach out to me and I'll help you.
Okay. Thank you. So when you say like I'm supposed to, you mentioned something about how like if I don't have a diploma, so do you mean like what sort of diploma are you talking about? Like, because I mean, are you talking about like just general education diploma, or are you talking about like job diplomas or something?
I'm talking about just a high school diploma.
Okay. The thing is, I'm 21 and I do have a high school diploma, but I haven't gotten a job yet. So, yeah, hence why I'm here.
So, David, a good program might be the program that we had Adam Gottnick describe, because that's in
Hold on,
Fullerton, and
Yeah.
that's called. I'll forward you some information on that. If you put your email in the chat, I'll send you some information on that, and I think that might be the right fit.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. I know you mentioned that adult transition is only for non-diploma track, but there are kids who are earning a diploma who may need, not may, but in my case will need, cooking instructions, just living, crossing the street, taking training, taking a train, taking a bus, whatever. And so is there absolutely no loophole in the system where these kids can go in at least for a summer program where they get some training, if not a full 2-year, 3-year program?
Yeah, I will never say there's no loophole, because there have been a couple of students come through our program that were diploma track. That's not the norm. So that would be something you would want to work with your IEP team on to see if that would be an option for you. Typically, though, the student that we're serving is a non-diploma track student. However, I totally agree with you that all of our students, I could have used a lot of these services, cooking and cleaning and transportation, how to do a resume and apply for jobs is so important to all students. So yes, I understand that. How do you get that if you're getting a diploma? And that's a question I'm asked many, many, many times is, well, what about those kiddos? And like I said, there are a few that have come through and they've navigated the system somehow to get both, but that's not the norm. That's not typically what I see here in the adult transition program.
Thanks, Renee. I think we'll take one last
you.
question. Thanks,
You're
Monique.
welcome.
One last question from Trina.
Katrina.
Hi, Trina, you're muted. Where did she go?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I heard you, it kind of comes in and out, so I do agree with the gentleman that said it earlier, but you were mentioning about not being able to get assistance if needed, the difference between the diploma and I guess the certificate of completion. Can you kind of just go back over that? Because I kind of missed it when it cut out.
Yeah, that's something that comes up sometimes in making the decision of those students that maybe are right on the bubble and they're maybe senior year of going the adult transition route or getting the diploma. Maybe they have one class left to work on to get the diploma. I just want people to know that when you make that decision, it does affect financial aid. There's two things that really affect financial aid for our students. One is when your student turns 18, regardless of disability, they need to register for selective service. It is very difficult to get federal aid if you're not registered for selective service. It's just the law. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just the law. So, later on, if your student decides that they're going to go and work on something at college and they haven't applied for selective service, then that makes it very difficult for them to get federal aid. So the FAFSA. There are other opportunities and scholarships they can get, but the federal piece is tricky. Even for a home loan, there's students that I know of that have been affected to get a home loan because they did not register for selective service. That's a different story. Your question about the diploma track. So same thing with the diploma. When your student gets a certificate of completion versus the diploma, they are restricted from some forms of federal aid. They are not allowed to apply for it because they are required to have either a high school diploma or a GED, or some kind of equivalent, high school equivalent. So just be mindful of that when you are making the decisions of, if you're one of those families that's on the bubble, that you might want to look into what are your options for financial aid if your student does want to go on to college and needs financial aid. So just like a tidbit of information.
Okay, thank you.
Research that a little bit, yeah.
Thank you so much, Renee, and thank you for joining us today. And you
Thank
can
you for
stay
having
if you'd like. I think I'll move on to our next topic.
Great.
The Orange County Asperger Support Group is a support group for helping individuals and families dealing with high functioning autism and Asperger's. And a few years back, we did a survey of our members, and a large number of you, in fact, the biggest issue that families were dealing with was employment. And so because of that, I have been spending a lot of my personal time, and we've been spending a lot of our time looking into opportunities for employment. And part of the reason I had Renee present today, because for someone who might be in those ages of 18 to 22, a transition program like that might be the appropriate thing. And there are a lot of different programs in Orange County. It's almost confusing how many there are to assist you with employment. But one thing I found was in that same survey, I found that a lot of you, like Jimmy, who spoke up today, and Kenny, and I know Savag is out there, and Ernest, are individuals who not only have a high school diploma, they have a four-year college diploma. And they've worked hard to position themselves for a career where they can leverage the knowledge that they gain through college. And there really isn't a lot out there. Even, I know Jimmy went to Cal State Fullerton, as did my son Josh, and there used to be a program called Workability, which is paid for by Department of Rehab, that helps people like Jimmy and my son Josh find employment. And Cal State Fullerton chose to no longer invest in that. So there just haven't been a lot of resources out there to help our community. So I, for the last year or so, have been working on trying to solve that problem. It's been more like 2 or 3, I think. And reaching out to the community, to people like Renee, and outside of our community, to find individuals who are focused on working with the population of adults who are dealing with, issues related to being on the spectrum, but are really interested in employment. And so the second half of our meeting today is really going to be focused on some of those resources. The first one that I want to introduce is EvoLibri, and the founder, Jan Johnston-Tyler, is here with us today. I met Jan about a year ago when she was speaking at the Stanford Neurodiversity Summit. And I heard her speak, and I said, this is someone who gets our population. And Jan and I started meeting, and she is a Department of Rehab vendor. When Renee was talking about agencies, she was talking about programs like Goodwill that is funded through, say, Department of Rehab. Now, Jan is a Department of Rehab vendor who focuses on the cohort like our folks, but she is located up in Northern California. And so for the last 9 months or so, Jan and I have been working together to have some of her resources available here in Orange County. And I'm thrilled to say that they are. And so I invited Jan to come today and talk about this. For those that attended our main meeting of Career Club where we were talking about things, one of the things that Jan and I learned in that meeting was that Orange County is not only serviced by one Department of Rehab district, we're serviced by two. And Jan and I had been working with the San Gabriel Orange District, not knowing that a good number of our folks are being serviced by the San Diego district. So then Jan and I had some new challenges. Anyway, Jan has solved those, and I wanted to invite her here to talk about her organization and the solutions that she has available. And without any further ado, I will find Jan out there. Hi, see you, Jan.
I'm here. I'm here.
There you are. Okay,
Excellent.
Jen, and you are welcome to share your screen.
I'm gonna do.
I'm
just
so
that.
glad to see you.
I'm glad to be here. And yes, you know, we finally overcame some of the bureaucracy that is Department of Rehab. So yes, but we now are vendorized pretty much across the board down in your neck of the woods. And Judy, just so you know, we have our first client, consumer that we got a referral for, and I believe we're starting next week. So yay. So thank you so much, everybody, for having me tonight and for giving up your very precious Wheel of Fortune time. Really appreciate that. At least at Northern California, this is Wheel of Fortune time. So I just want to go over a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how to connect. So EvoLibri Consulting, we're here right smack dab in the middle of Silicon Valley in Santa Clara, California. And we focus on services for the neurodiverse community. That's what we do. We work with clients between the ages of 14 through adults. So right now, I think our oldest client is actually just a few months younger than I am. So about 61. So we work with people who have autism, who have ADHD, who have mood disorders, learning disabilities, anything that we would describe as hardwired, not acquired. And of course, autism fits in that. And we work across several different domains, which I will speak to in just a minute. So we're a near full service agency. And so we offer services in very different areas, which makes us unique. There are very few organizations in the country, and we're the only one that I'm aware of in California. So we provide career counseling, which is an important aspect of the work we do, oftentimes working with high schoolers and helping them define what kind of careers might be good for them with their native set of skills and with some of their challenges in mind. And we help them figure out not only a field of study, but also local or state colleges that can support their educational choices. We also have therapists on staff because we've learned a long time ago that many of our clients, by the time they're in high school, they may be struggling with anxiety and depression. This tends to happen as they get closer to graduation because they start to recognize that school is over and they may be happy about that, but then what comes next? And so we see a lot of people who really start to struggle trying to figure out what's next and feeling very anxious about that. We also provide through our marriage and family therapists, both social skills classes using the peers at a UCLA. And we also teach a sexuality class because some of our clients are not getting, in my opinion, adequate education around sexuality and sex ed in general. We also provide independent living skills training and transition help. So these are the areas that we have seen over the last 14 years that typically can be difficult for clients to acquire while they're in high school, whereas their neurotypical peers may have. And to Renee's point, a lot of kids, regardless of whether or not they're on or off the spectrum, neurodiverse or neurotypical, don't know these things, right? You know, it's a different world now. So everything from executive functioning to mobility, how to take the bus, the train to get around, we teach that. along with general home life skills from, you know, what's the best and fastest way to clean a toilet so it's done and out of the way, because nobody wants to think about it. And we also talk about social and emotional well-being, right? How do you find your tribe outside of high school, especially for the kids who are graduating? That's a real change for many of them because most of their friends are going to go in disparate directions. And so they need to create their own sense of community again. We also do formal assessments and recommendations. I do what's known as an IEE for transition. So I do personally a lot of assessments for high schoolers, helping them to figure out exactly what Renee was talking about in terms of where are the gaps and what gaps are really significant, which ones can be kind of filled in by the family, and which ones are really concerning in terms of post-secondary readiness. Employment. So employment obviously is a huge part of what we do. We were actually invited by Department of Rehab in Berkeley up here to become vendorized because they saw that we had a set of skills and depth of knowledge that really nobody else in the Bay Area had at that time. And so they basically begged us to become a Department of Rehab vendor. So we started there, and now we've been providing services throughout the Bay Area, all 13 counties, and a little bit north and a little bit south. As Judy had mentioned, now we are vendorized both in Orange County and in San Diego. And I suspect that Los Angeles probably isn't too far behind. I know how DOR works after working with them for 8 years now, and they talk. And so if we do a good job down in the Southland, then, you know, we'll pretty much be everywhere. And again, there's not a lot of services in Southern California, just like there aren't a lot of services up here. So this is kind of an unusual offering for DOR. So we provide what I call pre-vocational training. This is sort of how to be in the workplace, what the expectations are, how to advocate for yourself, sort of what the social norms are in the workplace. We help people with job searches, placement, job coaching once you get hired. And we do that both as private pay, but mostly we do it through Department of Rehab. And we know that career development doesn't happen just once. It happens over a lifetime. We also work with several different corporations here in Silicon Valley and beyond. As you may have heard, there's, you know, this thing or these things called autism at work or neurodiversity at work. We've been actively working with SAP, with EY, with Microsoft for the last 6 years. So we're very much part and parcel of those programs as well. So one of the things that I think is unusual about us and how I set it up was to be it's been a long day, longitudinal. And what I mean by that is we often start working with clients at 14, 15, 16, and we will be available for them at any time in the future. And they like that. And in fact, you know, we've been in business now for 14 years. It's really common for a client to come back and say, hey, you know, I've been at this job now for 3 years and I think it's time for me to move on. Do you have any advice for me? Can I come in and see you? Or we have kids who finished up college and we got them into college, helped them figure out what they should do, and they need help getting a job. So we like that aspect of having a relationship with our consumers or our clients over time, because we want them to feel safe with us. And even if we don't have the resources that they need, which happens, we hopefully will know who can provide those services. So we can continue to sort of be the lighthouse for people as they transition and move throughout their lives. So as I mentioned earlier, transition from high school is super important time, as Renee was saying. I'm really impressed by what y'all got going on down there. And now you can move to Northern California and fix us all up here. Because yeah, I know, right? We have what I call musical chairs with special education directors. They just keep moving from district to district because it's hard. It's a really hard job. Anyway, so we want to make sure that our clients, when they graduate from high school, that they're actually what we call post-secondary ready as per IDEA. And it depends on the school district. Some are, some aren't, but we want to make sure that we're advocating for the family and for the individual. Then we also help again from transition from post-secondary. Great, okay, you made it through a 2-year program, or even a certificate of completion at the local community college, or you went on for a 4-year or even a master's. How do you get that first job? You would think that the more education you get, the easier it is to find a job. That's not always the case. And so we're here to help you figure out how to get your foot in the door, early career. And then transitioning to independence as well. So getting a job, saving money, figuring out how to pay your bills. You know, do you want to live at mom's house for a while? Do you want to go out and see if you can get, you know, your own apartment? What is it going to take? So we help individuals transition into their first homes, or if they're staying at home, I help them start taking on more work in the family home, because it's really important to me that they are not continuing to be 15-year-olds, even though they're 25. And so I want them actually participating in things like cooking and shopping and house cleaning. And the payoff is, if you want your parents to treat you like adults, you need to act like an adult. Oh, snap. So that's what we always go for, is to help kids really become roommates with their families rather than little kids, which works better for everyone. So why employment? Employment is a really big part of what we do. And the reason, there's a couple of reasons. One is because I have known for almost 20 years now, based on research that I've read, that the biggest factor for success among neurodiverse adults is employment. That you have good employment that gives you financial security over the long haul. And without that, life becomes very untenable. It's really, really difficult. And the way to get there, in my mind, is to have a career plan, regardless of what you plan on doing, but a way to help you reach the goals that you want for financial security so that you can live the independent life that you want. We also know that there's serial unemployment and serial underemployment in this population, which simply means that you may have a master's degree in data science and yet you're working at Amazon. How does that happen? Well, it happens because some folks on the spectrum struggle with interviewing, or they don't know how to go about a really good job search. So that's what we're trying to fix. We also know that careers create satisfaction. So this is another important thing for people who, for example, may not be able to be in competitive employment, which is what we focus on. And just let me stop for a second for those of you who don't know the difference. Competitive employment refers to a job that anyone can go out and apply for and get, right? So that means it's competitive. You may be up against neurotypical people for that job, as opposed to supported employment, which is a different kind of job that typically pays less, and there usually is a job coach with you 24/7. Every minute you're at work, there's going to be a job coach helping you do the job, and that's for the duration of employment. So we typically work in the competitive employment arena. And we know that for both sets of people in supported employment and competitive employment, one of the biggest factors for happiness and satisfaction in your life is meaningful employment. So this is super important for everyone, to have something that you do every day that gives you a sense of meaning and belonging and participation. And we know that it's not just a job. You know, it's not just about working at Safeway, which for many of us, we will start there regardless of our education. Most of us will have to take crap jobs to start with. And I'm happy to tell you about all the crap jobs that I've had along the way. Most of us have, but it's important because it's a place to start, right? And it's really important to understand that if you're working with someone who's good at what they do, it's really about jumping from lily pad to lily pad to lily pad to get where you want to go. And it may take some time. You know, I didn't start this career until I was 47 years old. Now, of course, I made this career up. Nobody else was doing it. That's one way to go, but it takes some time, right? Everybody's career takes some time. So that's why we focus on employment. And we also focus on employers on the other side. I have a reputation of being a somewhat stalwart advocate for my clients, and I have no problem calling people out on bad behavior, sometimes in public and sometimes big companies, because I've seen the othering of the disenfranchised over and over again. And certainly we've seen that in the last couple of years. So I know that 1 out of 3 people in the workforce are neurodiverse. 1 out of 3. Think about that. Now that also includes anxiety and depression, but that's a big number. Now, because of the pandemic and because of what's happening with all of our mental health, the numbers that I'm hearing floated around are 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 people are struggling with a mental health or neurodiversity. That's a big number. And so we really do need to talk to the employers about what that's doing to the workforce as a whole, right? We also want to create understanding. Many neurodiverse individuals have difficulty gaining employment or maintaining employment over time because they're not understood and they don't have adequate support. And so this is another thing that we need to continue to proselytize. I grew up here in Silicon Valley. My family moved here when I was 3 years old. My father and my family came from Chicago. We were part of the original Westward Ho for Silicon Valley. My father was an electrical engineer and he worked in the 60s and 70s in high tech. And I can tell you how many of his friends were neurodiverse. These were wonderful, wacky people who did all kinds of very interesting things. And if we were to diagnose them today, I'd say most of them probably were on the spectrum. They worked at Stanford, they worked at Park Research, they worked at Slack, they worked at Varian. It's always been here. And now what we need to do is we really need to make sure that employers understand and embrace neurodiversity and really see the strengths. We also really want to foster inclusion across the board. The ironic thing is that when employers actually understand and accommodate neurodiverse individuals and extend those same practices across all employees, the entire company benefits, right? For example, neurodiverse people, oftentimes we say they struggle with ambiguity. And it's difficult for them to guess what a manager means when they say, oh, just go fix it. But the truth of the matter is neurotypical people also benefit from that. So what we're talking about is really changing the mindset of management to be one that's more thoughtful and inclusive. So employment engagement, what do we do? And I've talked about this briefly, so I'm going to go through this real quickly. So we are a Department of Rehab vendor. We are also very much involved in the neurodiversity at work initiatives with Stanford University, Specialist Sterna, Neurodiversity in the Workplace, doing Aspire research, as well as helping Diffusion do their R&D for social skills. We currently hold corporate contracts with Microsoft, LinkedIn, SAP, VMware, F5, and we do private pay with engineers who are at Google, Apple, Facebook, and Adobe. So we work with a lot of neurodiverse people in pretty high level jobs, but also work with people who are working at CVS, so across the board. So why would you want to work with EvoLibri? One of the things that I think is important to note, and I think I have it in here somewhere, just so that you know, if you're working with Department of Rehab, you have the right to choose the vendor that provides your employment services. And a lot of people don't know that. And I will be truthful and tell you a lot of people who work for DOR don't know that, or may forget that they knew that at one time. And so if you feel like you're not making enough progress with DOR, you are welcome to search out for another agency to help you. And we are one of those agencies. So why us? Because this is all we do. We work with neurodivergent clients. That is it. We don't also serve people with physical disabilities. We don't serve people with vision impairment, although certainly if they have ASD or ADHD and that, then we will consider it. So we have a very, very, very deep understanding of neurodiversity, of the challenges that our clients face. Broad services, you saw earlier on the services that we provide. Again, even if DOR doesn't cover it, or even if it's a service we don't have, or you choose to go somewhere else, we will help you find the right clinician. For example, if you need a therapist down in the Southland, because that is important to us to be able to help you all the way around. Employment experience. So not to put too fine a point on it, but I come from high tech, and several of our employees also have been in corporate life before. So we have a very strong understanding of what it's like to actually be in the workforce, what it's really like trying to get in your foot in the door, why suddenly you think you're about to get a job and the person disappears and you don't hear from them for 2 weeks. We know why, we know how that works. We also have connections throughout the Bay Area and beyond, again, with organizations like Specialist Journal, Neurodiversity at Work, and all of the companies such as EY, SAP, and VMware who are hiring. Well, they haven't been hiring for the last 2 years, but hopefully they'll be hiring again. And we also like to share our clients, with your permission, of course. If we see a really great opportunity at another company, we will forward you along. And longitudinal help, as I said earlier, it's really important to remember that when you get a job, that's your first job, or it's a job. It does not make your career. And so we're here to help guide you down the road should you want some more help later on. So this is just the language that Department of Rehab uses, just sort of a user guide. So one set of services we provide is PVSA group and individual. PVSA stands for personal, vocational, social adjustment, just rolls off the tongue. And these are pre-employment classes that teach self-management in the workplace, right? They teach things like how to ask for a vacation, or if somebody is bullying you, how to advocate for yourself. So all the things that you might need to know in the workplace, but probably haven't learned yet. Employment services is pretty much just what it sounds like. Everything from creating your resume, updating your LinkedIn, and teaching you how to interview. If we need to, we'll even take you out and help you get new clothes, and then teach you how to do a job search, how to really stay on it. We'll give you homework. We follow up to make sure you're following through. And then once you secure a job, we are stuck with you, or you're stuck with us. That's better. You're stuck with us for an additional 3 months. So we're checking to make sure everything is going well and it's copacetic and everybody's happy with your work and you're happy on the job. And then we also do job coaching. We do a limited version of this. This is when, if things aren't going right, or if you have a new manager and things are a little bit dicey, or if you've been written up for a warning, we can get hired by DOR to come back in and work with you remotely. So we always do this by a Zoom or telephone call, just to kind of check with you once or twice a week to see how you're doing, to see if we can kind of iron out some of the issues that you might have been having, and or to talk to your manager or supervisor to help them understand how best to manage you. So if you are interested, and if you're not already, here are the things that you can do to get registered. So the first is register with Department of Rehab. Once you have registered with Department of Rehab, if you're not feeling like the person really gets you, or that you're going to get the services you want, you can ask to have your case transferred. Once you've asked that from your DOR counselor, hopefully they will contact us and they will start the referral. And once we get the referral, we will reach out to you and schedule an intake session. Now, this takes a minute. And, you know, I wish it was really fast, but it can take up to 2 months for this referral to come through. What I would always do is have you contact, if you look at the top here, contact us at dor@evolibri.com and ask about your case, and we can go find out. If you can tell us the office, and if you can tell us the counselor, we can make a warm and friendly call. Hey, we understand that this person might be coming our way, and then see what's happening. And then once you've had your intake and come to work with us, we will assign one of our staff members and we will get you started with services. And the only important thing to remember, please don't miss services. We take this seriously. I pay my people well, and we live in the most expensive place in the entire world. They deserve to have a livable wage, but I go broke if you don't show up, and I can't charge DOR. It's really, really simple. And that's it. That's us. So does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah, thanks, Jan.
There we go.
Okay, who's our first question?
This is Monique. Can I ask a quick
Yes,
question, please?
please.
You talked about DOR, and then there's regional center. So in order to qualify for, say, my son's 16, in order to qualify for DOR, what do you need? I mean, who does the referring to, and how do these different organizations work? Because I hear about regional center and I hear about DOR.
Yep. So Department of Rehab, let me put it this way. Not all people who are DOR clients are regional center clients. So lots of people qualify for Department of Rehab, but will not qualify for regional center for a whole variety of reasons. Now, if your child is a regional center client and you want to start employment services, then what you would want to do is talk to your case manager at regional center and say, we would like to start pre-employment services or employment services. And we heard about this really cool place up in Northern California that can provide pre-employment classes for our son, daughter, right? And then the regional center should make the referral to Department of Rehab, and then DOR should make the referral to us. So it's a little bit like Candyland or Chutes and Ladders, right? You have to move around the board. Yes.
And Monique, we have so much to cover today. I just want to say in 2 months, so in October, we have Jim Hayek coming. Jim Hayek is a benefits advocate. He can explain to you regional center, DOR, and SSI, and the process of qualifying for each of those. So,
yes, thank you.
So just so you guys know, though, one of the things that I loved about EvoLibri is that they are a DOR vendor. About maybe a third of our members are regional center clients, and I hear case after case of people trying to become regional center clients and getting rejected. I've never heard anyone get rejected from being a DOR client. Anywhere. The only thing I wanted to ask Jan related to that is, you know, we had Renee speak about the school districts and the programs that they have. And I know that DOR has workability in each of the school districts. Would they provide services with an outside vendor if there is workability in the local school district?
It's a different pot of money. And so, and DOR, well, all state agencies really determine funding based on age and where that person is in life. And so I would love it if we were able to provide services to workability students, but everything I've asked about around that, they say, no, you're not a high school, ergo, you can't do workability 1, you're not a college, you can't do workability 2. So, you know, that's all I know. It's really sad because we do have curriculum that you can buy off the shelf. And, you know, it's really, really useful, really good curriculum. And I would love it if school districts adopted it, you know, because I think it would save them a lot of time to develop it.
Okay. Any other questions? Ernest, is that your hand up?
Okay. No, I just wanted to say that I've on 2 different occasions have worked with Department of Rehab. And I just want to say that the facilitators at Department of Rehab are not all created equal.
Very true.
And because I had one experience which was horrible and one which was, in fact, the last time you were on, we had Arturo here. And Arturo has done a great many things for me.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
And just
I'm anxious to get in on this program now because I've had 2 jobs since I was with Arturo last, and now I feel like I want to move forward.
okay, terrific, Ernest. Now Arturo set up a fast tracking system. So those that have applied for Career Club, there's a new survey, but let me know and we can help you provide you with Arturo's contact information so you can fast track your employment. But he was only dealing with Orange San Gabriel, and now Jan has brought the San Diego district aware of her services, and they are now letting people be referred. I think Kenny is one of them who was able to get them to sign him up for PVSA with EvoLibri. Any other questions? Just so you know, there's a whole other presentation coming on next. So this is not the only thing for college students or for college graduates. But we're so thrilled to have Jan here. Jan will be back. We'll have more with her sometime in the future, but I just wanted you to know that she was providing these services now in Orange County. Anybody else?
Excellent. Thank you
Excellent.
all. I'm going to go back to Judy. It's your show.
Okay,
Thank
Jan, do
you.
me a favor and send me your slides so that I can share that with everybody.
I will do that.
Okay. So when I met Jan, I was working on Career Club and I had a vision of the services that we needed to offer, and I saw a good fit with Jan. But one of the things that I wanted to have is the support of a group, of being in a club where everybody was working on the same problem, kind of a job search club. And that was the idea behind Career Club. And I was looking for the right organization to partner with. So again, we're talking about people like Jimmy and Kenny who have graduated from a 4-year program, want to move into maybe they're working now I know Kenny's working at Amazon. Maybe they're working now, maybe they're not working now, but they really want to have start their career, what they learned about in college. And so I went looking for the right partner, and I had a meeting with Rebecca Beam. Rebecca and I had met several years ago. She had come to our Autism at Work event. Every April we do an Autism at Work event, and I was so impressed with her. Well, she has started a new venture with her partner, Hilary Kokenda, called Zavikon. And we started talking about my concept of Career Club, and Hilary kept giggling because she says, oh, that's exactly what we were thinking too. And so what I'm pleased about is that we have put together a plan to have that supportive environment where we will be meeting once a month to have a support group to work on Career Club. And so that's what the second half of this meeting is about. And I can see Hilary and Rebecca. So there we go. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction, and Rebecca, I think Hilary's going to talk about Zavikon, and we're going to learn more about the topics, and I will conclude with the next steps. So next slide, please. All right. So what is Career Club? It's a program that's going to focus on providing the training and support to enable college graduates with who are on the spectrum with pre-employment, during employment, and post-employment services. So if you remember that chart I showed, a big part of it is getting you involved in your career, getting you the first job and helping provide the supports there. But what our vision is to provide some support on the onboarding, and when you are working, some support where we would have monthly meetings while you are working to, as things come up, to understand how to deal with them. And then finally, when you're changing jobs, to help you with that transition to start a new search. This is not the answer to everything. This is not like what Jan does, in that we will meet once a month, but we're not, this particular program is not there to provide support every day of the week. So, hey, I wrote my resume, look it over for me, Judy. More, it's a supplement to if you were working with an agency like Department of Rehab and you were working with an organization like EvoLibri. This is a supplement. This is something separate to have a support group that you can meet with and share your experiences. So it's supplemental. And the idea is that it will give you the skill sets that you need to manage your own career. So you can move on to the next slide, Rebecca. I think this is you and Hilary.
Yes, so I'll start just to tell you a little bit about Zavikon, but before I do, I haven't even shared this with Hilary or Judy, but we did anchor in a theme of, you know, the kind of ocean theme, but I looked up what anchors away means, and the old Dutch sailors' expression to get the anchors lifted. They were dominating sailors, the Dutch and the Flemish. And it was the way anchor is to bring it aboard a vessel in preparation for departure. So I think it's really kind of cool to think about that, because we are here to help you depart into the, you know, go into the working world and get you prepared for departure into the working world. So I thought it was kind of cool. Anyway, a little symbolism behind the anchor that I found on the logo. So at Zavikon, you know, we believe that there's a job out there for everyone to apply their talents and skills in a meaningful way. So our goal is to match qualified candidates with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent. And yes, we do visible and invisible disabilities, and we do, you know, all of the neurodiverse conditions. We match with employers who believe inclusion is the future, and we're trying to help employers bring inclusion into their workforces so that we can have a diverse way of thinking. We are trying to tackle the unemployment and underemployment outcomes for individuals in this community so that we can help you find meaningful employment and build your career in a way, and we support you and we do the education with the employers, because we believe it all starts with education. And I think that it's really cool that Jan was on, because I think we're like-minded in our missions here. We provide recruitment services. We also have workplace readiness services. We are not a DOR vendor, but we do work with individuals who are in the self-determination program within the regional centers. And so we provide this education and guidance to employers to support successful employment relationships, but we also prepare our clients, our candidates for the workforce as well. So a little bit about our background so you know who we are, because we are going to facilitate these meetings. And we were so thrilled when Judy invited us to be part of this, because we were, you know, it just aligns very well with our mission and what we're doing. So my background, I started my career in recruiting. I spent the majority of my career in technology recruiting. And then in 2013, I was tapped to help start a company called MindSpark. And some of you may have heard about MindSpark, but we created an organization that was very powerful that trained adults on the spectrum to do software testing and automation. And in 2018, we sold our company to an organization called Zavikon. And they're a German-based company, and I became their CEO for 3 years. During that journey, there were a couple of realizations that I had. One is that, you know, a lot of organizations want to hire individuals who are neurodivergent to be part of their workforces, and they want to embrace it, and they want to have them as their employees. So it was a little bit different than what Zavikon offered. The other thing was a lot of programs out there were geared towards just technology. And, you know, there are people who have many different skill sets, whether it's finance or graphic design or digital arts or what have you. And we wanted to address helping those individuals find their career path and find them the employment that they deserve so that they can jumpstart their careers. So that's really what drove me to start Zavikon. I'm very, very passionate in this space, and I too am neurodivergent. So for me, it is just my path where my career has brought me. And I joined forces with Hilary, who is my partner. And I'm going to turn it over to Hilary to take the rest of the presentation and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hilary Kokenda. And my background is a little bit different from Rebecca's, but we've known each other. We knew each other for years through our corporate connections. I have been heavy in corporate America my entire career. I actually started with consulting, and then I got into information technology within all the entertainment studios. And I've been at several of the studios. Most recently, I was at Disney for about 12 to 13 years. And I really saw the need, and the need really more almost on the employer side than the employee side, and how much neurodivergent individuals are just so needed in corporate America. And Rebecca told me what she was doing one day. I still remember it. I was driving into work and she told me about it. And I said, you know what, if I could do that with you, it would be a dream come true. And now here we are. So what we bring to this is a lot of years of experience in corporate America, both understanding how to help bring individuals into corporate America, as well as, you know, keep them in, and what businesses can, the benefits that they can see when they open their doors and start bringing people in. So with that, we're going to go to the schedule or for Career Club. We're very excited to get started. It's going to be a 7-month program. The first month we'll have 2 meetings because we want to do an introductory meeting, get everybody to know each other, and then jump into actual, you know, topics on the second meeting. After that, it'll be, the cadence will be about once a month. We may have, depending on if a topic gets a lot of interest and we have a lot of information to cover, we may do an additional meeting in some of the subsequent months, excuse me. We'll start in September, and it'll go through March, and we're gonna have about 20 members or so. So we're really excited. We think this is gonna be, we can get a great group of people really, you know, getting to know each other, learning a lot, and just, you know, supporting each other through this process. Go to the next one. All right, so here are our monthly topics. As I said, first month would be an initial orientation. We'll kind of understand where everybody's at. The second meeting of the first month would be kind of talking about career vision and goal setting, and how do I figure out what I want to do, and how do I make a plan for myself to, you know, realize my goals. So we'll work with the participants on that. Then in the second month, we're going to move into talking about resume tips and tricks. Self-branding. We'll talk about, you know, what your social media, how that can help you, or maybe need some improvement to help you. We'll talk through that. We'll probably bring in some guest speakers in some of these months when we feel that they can bring in expertise and really explain what's going on. Third month, online job searching. So how do I search for what I'm interested in online? And then applications, how do I track it? How do I organize myself? How do I make sure that I'm following up when I need to? How to work with recruiters. It's all of that stuff of managing yourself when you're looking for a job, because looking for a job can be a job in and of itself. So we want to help you through that. Fourth month, we'll talk about networking. You know, how do I meet people at companies where I want to work? How do I use the connections that I have to help me, you know, make inroads where I want to go? And, you know, it's amazing. Networking is amazing because when you really start to dig in and realize who you know, you have a lot more connections and a lot more opportunity than most people realize. So we're gonna talk through that. Continuing education, you know, you may have a bachelor's, you may have a master's, but what courses are out there online, etc., that may help you become more marketable and just make you feel better about your chances and going into interviews and things like that. Job fairs. How do you handle a job fair? What job fairs are worth going to? There's a lot that goes into those, and we'll talk through that with everybody. Month 5, interview preparation. Okay, so now you have an interview. How do you prepare for it? What do you do? How do you research the company and maybe the hiring manager that's going to interview you? All this stuff to kind of prepare you for an interview. We know we've found with a lot of the candidates that we talk to, interviews can be one of the most daunting aspects of the job search process. So we want to work with people on that. Following up after an interview and disclosures. Do you want to disclose that you are neurodivergent or have a disability? We'll talk through that, the best way to go about it, and just how people feel comfortable doing that, and maybe they don't. So we'll work through all of that. We'll talk through all of that and talk to the experiences of the participants in the group. Month 6. What happens when you get the job? Company culture. How do you navigate that? Where can you help yourself along, and how can you avoid some of those easy to make mistakes? Because trust me, everybody that's had a job in corporate America has stepped on a minefield at some point, and we want to share our experiences and hope that you can learn from those. Forms and benefits. When you start a job, there's a ton of forms to fill out. We'll walk you through those. And benefits. How do you choose what benefits you want? That can be extremely confusing for everybody. So we'll walk through that. And also how you advocate for yourself, and how do you make sure you can get the accommodations you need. We'll talk through that. And then what is often, can be one of the best experiences when you have a job, or it can be one of the most stressful experiences, and that's performance feedback and reviews. So, most people have an annual review with their boss, and how do you get the most out of that every year, because that becomes your opportunity to really see what's the next step in your career. Month 7, employee rights. You want to make sure you know what your rights are. If there is a conflict, we'll talk about conflict resolution. And then graduation. You'll have graduated from Career Club after 7 months. And we've talked about maybe having a second cohort, like a follow-up. So we're expecting this to go very well. And this may continue, that we may add more topics and add another session depending on how things go. So that is the plan for Career Club. We're very excited and looking forward to, I'm sure, getting to know a few of you a little bit more through the process. So next steps, I think I'm turning this back over to Judy.
Yep. Judy.
Sorry, I have a hard time spotlighting myself when I am speaking, so I may not see my face, so I apologize for that. Okay, so many of you have received emails from me, have received texts from me, because I wanted you to know that we are ready to start Career Club. We are ready. But we need to pick the best time of day and day of the week. And so the first step is going to be for you to complete a survey, which will have the time of day and day of the week that's convenient for you, as well as some other questions. This should only be filled out by people with a 4-year degree. So I know that maybe you have a 2-year degree, maybe you're someone else. This is specifically for this particular group. So I'm sorry if this isn't a program for you right now, but we've had lots of information on lots of other programs. And if you need advice on those, please let me know. But if you do have a 4-year degree and you are interested in Career Club, then I'm going to want you to complete one of these surveys. I have 36 people's names who had contacted me in the past. And so if you haven't already contacted me that you want to do it, then let me know. Once we figure out the day and time, and we've sorted it out with Rebecca and Hilary, then we will open up registration. So registration will be $80 for OCASG members and $100 for non-members. That's for 7 weeks of programming. This is the best deal you're ever going to see.
7 months.
7 months, excuse me. Thank you. So this is basically $10 a session, which is unbeatable for the expertise that you're going to be having available. Then we'll start attending meetings. As I said, this is not a full service, solve every problem of yours program. This is, if you go to Toastmasters with us, it's very similar in format, 90 minutes a meeting, which isn't that long, but you're going to get about a half an hour of education. We'll have about 40 minutes of roundtable and maybe a deep dive on a couple of people. So if you need additional help, you should sign up with some other organizations such as EvoLibri. Also, I know that Zavikon also offers some services that they can describe as well. So you're going to need to have somebody else on your team to help you. Next slide. I think that might be it.
That is it. Here's our contact information.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is move into gallery mode so that we can answer any questions. So if you want to stop sharing and view gallery, here we go. That was a lot of information, you guys. So I hope just to explain it all in context in terms of Career Club. We had Jan explain EvoLibri. EvoLibri is a Department of Rehab vendor that specializes in working with folks like you. They are now available in Orange County if you sign up for DOR. Then in addition, we have started Career Club with Rebecca and Hilary, which will be a monthly meeting where you will learn the topics that Hilary reviewed, and you will have an opportunity to be in a support group where you will share your career goals and how you're doing with other people in the organization and get really great advice from Rebecca, Hilary, and probably me on decisions you might make. Maybe you're not happy with the agency you're working for. We might be able to share how you might work with them differently. Maybe you're not sure what career you want to choose. We might have some ideas for you. So it gives you an opportunity to network and get informed on a lot of topics related to your careers. So that, and to do it, you have to have a 4-year degree. That's not true with EvoLibri, but it is true with Career Club. And you'll need to let me know that you're interested and provide information. Okay, with that said, any questions? If there are no questions, I'd be surprised.
Well, so how can I say it? I'd like to participate in the Career Club and pay separately just to sit in and not say anything and, you know, discuss it with Kenny. Is that possible? Is that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, Rebecca, let me talk to Rebecca and Hilary about that. Are you okay with a parent being at the meeting? I think the person who is the participant needs to say it's okay.
Yes, okay.
I mean, not every kid would want their parent there, but if Kenny is okay with it, then it would be fine. I think I'd want to talk to Kenny offline and make sure he was okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
We believe in having support systems and everything that we do. So, and all of the work that we do, if there's support individuals, whether it's a parent, a career coach, whatever it is, we embrace that because we do believe it takes a community.
Yeah, I'm thinking I wouldn't participate directly, but discuss it with Kenny. Just be a silent partner with him. Mm-hmm. But obviously, I'd want his approval. Yeah.
Any other questions? Rebecca, take a minute and explain your organization and what your focus is, because I'm not sure, we had so much to go through. I'm not sure they heard enough about that.
Yeah, so there's 2 things that you can sign up with us for. Number one, if we're just helping you find a job and we're working with you to find that career, there's no charge to you to become a candidate in our database and to go through the assessment that we put you through. Now, we go through a lot of different assessments, and some of them are personality type oriented assessments. And we work with people who maybe not know what they want to do, or, you know, just because you have a 4-year degree doesn't necessarily mean that you know exactly what job you want to go into. So we can help you explore that and start looking for that opportunity for you. The other way to work with us is our workplace readiness training. And we do accept, you know, independent pay, or you can work, if you're a regional center client on the self-determination program, you can work with your facilitators to come into our program. And, you know, typically it's a 6 to 7 month program, and it's a way deeper dive into all of the things that we kind of laid out today, plus some, to help you prepare for the workplace and then to support you after you've entered the workforce. During that time that you're in our workplace training, we are, you know, looking for a job for you at the same time. We are also partnering with an esteemed university where we're going to be offering some interview, you know, virtual reality preparation. And it's going to be incredibly helpful for individuals who want to hone their interview skills. So we'll be rolling that out as well. And during Career Club, we'll be offering an opportunity, hopefully, for people to be able to take advantage of seeing how their interview skills are, where they get nervous, how they can, you know, change their approach in answering certain questions. So we're going to be working with candidates on that as well. So if you want to become a candidate of Zavikon, reach out to us. The contact information was on the slides. You can work with us independent of Career Club. If you want to work with us for our workplace readiness training, you can also reach out and we can go through all of that with you as well.
Thanks, Rebecca. One thing I wanted to point out is I've been working on this for a long time, and in my mind, there's been a lot of morphing and changing. one thing I wanted to point out that when Rebecca, Hilary, and I met and started talking and brainstorming the framework and how it would all work, is we were decided that it would be a 7-month program. And there'd be, so at one point in time, I thought, oh, it'd be a club and people could join anytime and all that. But it really isn't going to work with this model because of the way the material is being delivered in terms of the education portion of the meeting. So it's really needs to, we don't want to have a bunch of people join in month 5 and be in a catch-up mode. So that's one thing I want to point out, that we're going to start in September. And if you don't start in September, we'll do another group at some point in the future, but you can't join in November or October, or December, or say, hey, I'll wait, I'll wait a couple months. So that's one thing that you should know is when we do figure out that date and time and open up registration, it'll be to start at that time. Now we will record sessions. So if you have a conflict on a particular day, you could watch the recording, but we're not going to be letting people in and out throughout that 7-month period.
I think the other thing that's important to mention is that during this process of Career Club, we're going to get to know each other really well. And hopefully people will be willing to share their experiences and some of their challenges. And we'll talk about that. And the Career Club will keep that in confidence. And it'll be also a networking opportunity for you to build relationships with one another and support one another in your career pursuits.
Any other questions, Jimmy? Is that, nope, that was a stretch.
I have a question, Judy.
Sure can.
So as we know, the self-determination program is beyond my pay grade, and I have a PhD in economics. So maybe Zavikon could explain, not right now, but eventually how to work it all in with self-determination, because it's a new program and it seems to me very complex. All right. So.
Yeah, our advice on that is to align with a really great facilitator, and we can definitely refer some folks to you that can do a very quick education on self-determination and how to get into the program, because it's open to anybody who's a regional center client at this point in time. Now, with that being said, the facilitators, the ones that we have aligned with, are very backed up because many people want to go through this process. And it's an incredible process. You do your person-centered planning and you can, apply the funds in the way that you see fit. But we can definitely refer you to some fantastic people to talk to.
And just so you know, Ken, Diane Lamons is doing it with Josh Bass right now. So if you want to talk to someone who's going through it real time, she would be the right person in our group who's going through it. And as you recall, we had our event on the 13th and had a facilitator in there as well from, I believe it was Guidelight.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so here's what I will be doing. This meeting is being recorded. I'm going to send out in the next day or two the recording as well as the presentations that were shared today. I will send out a notice about Career Club. The people who already have received the notice from me, I think about 6 of you have responded and filled out the survey. I need you to fill out the survey, otherwise I'm going to think you're not interested. And then once I get, and I'm trying to get those surveys responded to this week, because we need to figure out the date and time, and that's what the long pole in the tent is figuring out the date and time. So we're going to need your input for that. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with whatever date and time we decide. So if you want input into that, please do that. And then we will be opening up registration. But thank you all for attending. Renee, thank you for staying through the whole. Any thoughts on what we shared today?
I think it's all great. I loved Janet's presentation as well, knowing that she's vendored by Department of Rehabilitation, which I also work with. Our students are very involved in Department of Rehab. And then also your career club taking off and Zavikon. I mean, it's just all just really great things going on. So I love to hear that all of this is happening.
Great. And thank you, Rebecca and Hilary. Any last thoughts before we close?
No, we're just really excited to be part of this, and we want to thank you, Judy, for including us. We're excited. So please, if you're interested, join and answer those surveys so we can get going.
Okay.
Yeah, we're excited to get to know some of you better. We're really looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, with that, since there's no more questions, I'll give you the rest of your evening. Thank you all for attending tonight. Take care.